So let's talk about this tripod system. This is the Bog Death Grip, and this is an absolutely great tool. For one, for a crossbow, also for your rifle. If you're shooting from a ground blind, or you're just out in the field and you're sitting on a stump or whatever, and you want to shoot from a tripod, this is an amazing tool, and I highly recommend it for your youth hunter. As you can see, this crossbow is just sitting right here and it is not moving, and it you can adjust the tension on the swivel to make sure that it sits nice and steady, that when you want to try and sight in on either your target or you're out in the field and you're sighting in on a critter, it's nice and stable. It is a really rock solid platform to use. It has these two jaws right here that you can tighten up and unloosen with this toggle right here. It is an amazing tool. I've used this very effectively on multiple youth hunts, and I highly recommend it. It is a great tool to use. So again, the Bog Death Grip. They make many different versions of this, but this particular one here is the Bog Death Grip. It's very robust, solid aluminum, and like I said, it's a great. Today we're going to talk about crossbows. So this here is a Barnett Assault 350. It's a little bit old, but it's still in great shape, and it shoots amazingly well. I've put a lot of shots through this through practice and out in the field, and it's served me well. But you can spend $350, $400 on a crossbow setup like this, or you can spend the extra money and go to the top of the line crossbows. You have to determine what fits your needs and your hunting style, and go with what you think best suits you. So typically they'll come with your cocking rope, and for most crossbows, if not all of them, you can get a crank cocking device that just allows you to bolt on your crank device, attach to your string, and crank it back. That's going to come in handy for me in a little bit. Having these pulled back by hand, depending on how fast they are. This is 350 feet per second. Some of them go up to 400 or more. And once you get up that high, your pulling weight your draw weight is quite heavy, and so a cocking rope with somebody that is a little older, physically challenged, maybe a little bit difficult. That's where the crank comes in, and you always want to make sure that you have your string wax and your rail lube. So you're going to want to wax your strings quite often on these, and also lube your rails about every 5 to 10 shots. And then it's just basic, maintenance. Clean it up, make sure your scope is clean, make sure your scope is fully tight, and then it's time to hit the range and get it sighted in. All right, so now you've got your crossbow out of the box, you've got it all put together, you've got everything set and ready to go, and whatever you have, whether it's your cocking rope or your crank cocking device, one of the things that you want to make sure of is that when you put either of these on, that you actually have these little fingers that draw the bow back, that draw the crossbow back underneath the strings like this. And what that does, when you're pulling back, it'll actually hold the string down onto the rail. If you were to put these up like this on top of the string, you would actually pull the string up off of the rail when you're pulling it back. So remember, you always want to have these underneath the string, just like that. That's with either your cocking rope or your crank. So when you're ready to start sighting in, there's a couple of things you can do. It's always recommended to start sighting these in at 10 yards. So set your target up and about 10 yards out, and you can also get a bore sighter for these. It's a laser bore sight made specifically for crossbows. There's a number of them on the market, and they basically slip on just like your bolt, and you can laser bore sight before you even take a shot. If you can spend the money to do that, go ahead and do it. Or you can basically, like I said, just set up at 10 yards and make sure that, when you look down your crossbow, you look down your bolt, it looks like you're going to be in the target. Take your shot and then adjust your scope accordingly. And then once you know you're on at 10 yards, then you can move out to your 20-yard range and then out to your 30-yard range. One other thing that's very, very important, you notice that it has these rails on here. And what these do is they basically stop you from actually putting your fingers or your thumb above the rail and into the path of the string. When this is pulled back, we call that the triangle of death. Because if your thumb or your fingers are above this rail and this is set off, you are going to violently lose a digit, whether that's your finger or your thumb, and you're going to be in bad shape, especially if that happens out in the field. So always make sure that you keep your fingers, your thumbs below this rail. So when you load your bolt, you load it in from the front. You never actually put your hand or your fingers inside that triangle of death. So now that you've got your crossbow all sighted in and you are ready to go, it's all about practice, practice, practice. Once you get this sighted in, I do not recommend shooting groups. In other words, shooting 3 bolts into the same bullseye. Spot shoot. If you've got one of these targets here, and you've got multiple dots or multiple bullseyes on your target, pick one. Shoot a bolt in that, then move on to the next one. Shoot a bolt in that. You can easily judge how your crossbow is shooting by doing that, just as easily as you can by shooting groups. One of the things that these are known for is they're very accurate. So once you are on and your hold is good and your shooting form is good, just like with the rifle, you can literally start ruining bolts. And crossbow bolts can be very, very expensive. So go ahead and make sure that you spot shoot when you're doing that. Now you've got your practice in, and you're out in the field, and you're ready to you're on your first hunt with your new crossbow. So what do we look at for distances? Well, you see a lot of crossbows. A lot of manufacturers will say 50 yards, 60 yards, 70 yards. That's in practice. That's not necessarily going out into the field and shooting at a deer with that. Whitetail move, and they move very fast. And even the fastest crossbow cannot compete with the speed of sound. The speed of sound is roughly 1,125 yards or meters or feet per second. And when you break that down, the crossbow is still not fast enough to defeat a deer's movement. And a deer can literally, it has been timed, and I'll put a graphic up that shows some of this research that's been done, that a deer can begin its movement in 0.23 seconds. Think about that for a second. As soon as that deer hears the sound of this crossbow or a bow or whatever it may be, they can start to duck, especially with their head down. And that movement at, say, 40 yards can defeat almost even the fastest crossbows. If you do some simple math, at a 40-yard shot with a 400 feet per second crossbow, that deer can actually duck the crossbow bolt. That's amazing to think about, but it also gives you something to think about when you're out in the field, and how what distances should I shoot at a deer when you're ready to take that shot. For me, I always recommend, or for me, I always take my shots 35 or under, because I know once I go beyond, especially with a 350 feet per second crossbow, and even a slower bow, like my bow right now, because I shoot my bow at a much lower poundage, because I have bad shoulders, bad neck, but I still do shoot it. But I am down to probably about 240 feet per second with my compound. So my shots, I try to make sure that my shots are within 20 yards with my compound bow. With your crossbow, you do have a little bit more of an advantage, but not a whole lot. So use your best judgment. And if you take a look at some of the videos that Dr. Grant Woods does in Growing Deer TV, you'll notice that a deer with its head down is actually primed and loaded to move much faster than it is with its head up. That's just because the deer is already down and it can actually move its muscles. It doesn't have to move against the force of gravity as much, where with its head up it does. So that's also mean that you shoot at a deer when it's burning a hole through you looking at you? Probably not. You probably want to wait until it turns its head, doing some other things. But I try to make sure that if I'm shooting at a deer with a bow or crossbow, that I make sure that its head is up and not down, say grazing. So use those ideas and thoughts to make your own best decisions about what to do when you're in the field, the distances you're comfortable shooting at, and great luck out there this year. Crossbows are here to stay. They're a great tool. For one, they're going to help us get, I believe they'll help us get more folks out in the field, which is always good. We need that. They're super accurate, and if we make good shot choices, good shot placements, then we have a better shot at recovering that deer, and that's what we want. And this year, crossbows are legal to use in expanded archery. So for those of you that want to go out and you're in an expanded area, good luck. You're going to have a blast. These are a lot of fun to shoot. I still shoot my compound bow. I still go out hunting with my compound bow, but hey, at 60 years old, if I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling a little sore or whatever, and don't want to take my compound bow out, I'll grab the crossbow and I'll head out into the woods, and won't think a second thought of it. They're a lot of fun to shoot, and I really enjoy them. And I hope this helps you out on your journey with your crossbow. And good luck this season.